Hello students, are you having a good week so far? Today we will think about the vocabulary in relation with the topic of church in the Synoptics. The first word is ecclesia. Ecclesia is first of all the political assembly of citizens of an ancient Greek state. It originated from that meaning, but after the Christian church, it means a church or congregation, the collective body of Christian believers regarded as constituting a universal church. So ecclesia means church. It comes from two Greek words, ek, out of, and kaleo, call. So called out, and originally it meant political assembly. Second word is approach. Approach means to come very near. So the taking of preliminary steps toward a particular purpose is approach. And a particular manner of taking such steps, the way, the manner of taking toward a particular purpose is called approach. We will think about the approach how to do Synoptics study. The third word is Seventh-day Adventist Church Pioneers. First of all, pioneer means the one who ventures into unknown or unclaimed territory to settle, and also one who opens up new areas of thought, research, or development. And with the meaning of that pioneer, the Adventist pioneers were members of Seventh-day Adventist Church, part of the group of Millerites who came together after the Great Disappointment across the United States and formed the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Most of our church pioneers belonged to the Millerite group first, but after the disappointment, they formed the Adventist Church. Next word is homiletics. It's the study of the composition and delivery of a religious message, such as a sermon, Bible study, or other type of message. The word homiletics comes from the Greek word homiletikos, which is itself derived from the Greek word translated as homily, which means discourse. Homiletikos came from the Greek word homileo. Homileo means to talk or converse. And from there it came discourse, and then eventually homiletics means basically sermons. Next word, the Great Commission. In Christianity, the Great Commission is the instruction of the resurrected Jesus Christ to his disciples to spread the gospel to all the nations of the world. The most famous version of the Great Commission is in Matthew 28:16-20. 대사명이라고 그러죠. Great Commission. Go, teach, and make disciples and baptize them. That part is called Great Commission. We will think about the word rejection. Rejection is the act of refusing to accept, use, or believe someone or something. Jewish leaders of the time rejected Christ as a nation. It was again and again the Jewish leaders, maybe out of jealousy about Christ, they rejected Christ, and all the nation eventually followed them. Though Jesus was rejected by the leaders, at the same time he was very popular to the people. Popularity, the quality or state of being popular, especially the state of being esteemed by or of being in favor with the people at large. Large crowd followed Jesus wherever he went, we remember. Now we think about the word harmony. The term harmony derives from the Greek harmonia, meaning joint, agreement, concord, and it came from the verb harmozo, meaning fit together, join. Harmony often referred to the whole field of music, while music referred to the arts in general. An orderly or pleasing combination of elements in a whole is called harmony, a relationship characterized by a lack of conflict or by agreement. When every part is in agreement and there is no conflict with each other, it is called harmony. And we think about this word because the whole Bible is in harmony with each other. So it is related to the next word, context of the whole. Interpreting particular texts in the context of the whole Bible. When you do the Bible study, you have to have in mind the whole Bible as a context. Then the seemingly contradicting verses may come to the harmony eventually by having the whole Bible as a context in your study. Let's move to the next word is eccentric. The meaning of eccentric in Korean, 유별난. 그렇죠? Departing from a recognized, conventional or established norm or pattern. Deviating from a circular form of path as in an elliptical orbit. One that deviates markedly from an established norm, especially a person of odd or unconventional behavior, is called eccentric. And actually, the Pharisees and the leaders, religious leaders of the time of Jesus was not mainstream, the word that we will look at next, but they were in reality eccentric readers, very particularly focusing on something, eccentric readers of the Bible. We will think about it more during the class period. The next word is mainstream, the prevailing current of thought, influence, or activity, belonging to or characteristic of a principle or widely accepted group, movement, and style is called mainstream. In number, the religious leaders formed the mainstream of the time, but in reality, Jesus was the true mainstream of the biblical thinking, we realize. Next word is in contrast with the mainstream, offshoot. Something that branches out or derives its existence or origin from a particular source is called offshoot. Something that develops or derives from a principal source or origin is called offshoot. From the outside looking, it looks like Christianity was an offshoot from the mainstream Judaism, but actually Christianity was the continuation of the Old Testament teaching and religion. And we would rather say the Judaism which rejected Christ was in reality the offshoot we can say, because they had ceremonies of religion and form of worship. An established rite prescribed by a religion is called ceremony. Form means the external shape, appearance, or configuration of an object in distinction to the matter of which it is composed. So form of worship means they were not concerned about the inward change of the believers, but they were more focusing on the outside form of worship and only the ceremonies of religion. That's why they couldn't recognize Jesus. You will think about two sects of the time of Jesus, Pharisees and Sadducees. Pharisees, they were a Jewish sect of the intertestamental period. Intertestamental meaning between Old Testament period and the New Testament period. There were about 400 years of the intertestamental period. Noted for strict observance of rites and ceremonies of the written law and for insistence on the validity of their own oral traditions concerning the law. They were very much interested in oral traditions. The Pharisees formed the largest and most influential religious political party in New Testament times. They were the biggest party, Pharisees. They had many times of conflict with Jesus. Sadducees, by the way, Pharisees were not part of the temple service leadership. They were rather ordinary people, but Sadducees was the priestly group, a member of a priestly aristocratic Jewish sect founded in the 2nd century BC that was opposed to the Pharisees, denying the resurrection of the dead, the existence of angels, and the validity of oral tradition. Since Pharisees were wrong and Sadducees were opposing Pharisees, does it mean Sadducees were right? No, actually, both of them were not right, because Sadducees denied resurrection and angels, and Pharisees, they acknowledged these things, but they had the oral traditions over the law of the Bible and pursued their own course in reality. Next word is remnant. It means a usually small part, member, or trace remaining, a small surviving group. A remnant of people is what is left of a community following a catastrophe. Seventh-day Adventist Church is the remnant church, we believe. But it doesn't mean we are the offshoot. We are actually, as Jesus was the continuation of the mainstream Old Testament belief, Adventist Church is the continuation of the early church in our faith and belief. So, remnant is small number, but actually we are the mainstream, we may boldly say. Next one is kingdom of priests. It is in Acts 19:6 and also 1 Peter 2:9 talks about holy nation and kingdom of priests. Of their consecration to the worship and service of God every subject of this kingdom being in some sort of priest to offer some kind of sacrifices to God. As we know, priests offered the sacrifice to God, and priests are the representatives of the people. They represented the people, and they offered sacrifice to God as representatives of the common people. So kingdom of priests means the nation Israel were the priests, representative of the whole nations, all the nations. They were supposed to give sacrifice and plea in behalf of the whole nations, all the people of the world. But Israel was called first to be the kingdom of priests, but they didn't fulfill their calling, their function. And now the church is called the kingdom of priests as well. Israel, it's a kingdom in ancient Palestine comprising the lands occupied by the Hebrew people. It was established about 1025 BC, divided about 933 BC. Israel is the name given to Jacob's offspring and to the nation that they formed. Israel originally meant Jacob's another name, and then all the Jacob's offspring were called Israel, and the nation they formed. But after Jesus' death and resurrection, it's not anymore the physical descendants of Israel, but the spiritual Israel is counting. And the church formed the spiritual Israel, and we belong to that Israel, even though we are not children of Jacob physically. The last word we can think about is co-laborer. One who labors with another is called co-laborer, an associate in labor. In 1 Corinthians 3:9, we are called the fellow workers of God. We are called to be the co-laborers together with Jesus Christ. What an honorable calling. And we want to fulfill this calling even as we are studying about the church this week. Have a happy Sabbath all together, and we will meet on Sunday morning. Thank you for listening, and bye.